And Emmy, I don't know how to turn control over to you, but but it looks like you've got your slides brought up. I can see them and everybody else can see them too, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Good. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Emmy Hershey, and I'm one of the workforce health consultants that works closely with schools and districts at Kaiser Permanente and helps manage our grant. And I'm joined today by Liz Schwarte, and she works at Ed Lusum Consulting, and we partner together to help put these grants on. So we wanted to just go quickly through some information about the workplace wellness-based grants for those of you that are not already aware. But just real quick in the chat, have you heard of the grants before? Do you know? Or is this new information? I'm just curious. It'll kind of help me gauge like how deep we go in just our few minutes together. Because I know Moda's going to highlight their grants too. New to me. Okay, great. Well, heard of them, need to apply. Wonderful. Okay, so it sounds like split 50-50, but yeah, I'll just kind of back up. The grants, they're dedicated to OEB to help create spaces within the school's district or your school environment for staff well-being, to help improve relaxation and reduce stress and help staff and those working in education to help support their own well-being. And we know since the pandemic has hit, like there's probably an increased need for having a dedicated space for school staff to be able to go to decompress and to have a break. And we actually have this really, really wonderful video that we just created highlighting some of the testimonials from those that have received the grants to date. And it's just 2 minutes long. I'm going to put the link in the chat. I don't think we had quite enough time to share the video with you today. But please, I encourage you to listen in if you want to hear from others who have received the grant before, their experience. It's really, really fun and only 2 minutes long, so not too crazy. And here's some after pictures of some of the folks that we've worked with before. And Liz, I'll hand it over to you to talk about eligibility.
Thank you so much, Emmy, and good afternoon to you all. Before I dive into the eligibility criteria for the workplace wellness-based grants, I wanted to just point out that we are moving into cycle 4. We've had 3 cycles so far, and it has just been a wonderful opportunity to support staff by creating these really inviting, relaxing, stress-reducing spaces that also support mental health and promote collaboration. And to date, KP has made approximately $350,000 in awards, and some school districts have, or schools have been, and schools have been funded more than once. So you see here on the right with the nice dots, which workplaces are eligible. And we are prioritizing school districts to have a priority in the funding. And however, these other entities are also eligible to apply. Very important is that they be tax exempt and be able to provide some documentation of that, which is spelled out very, very clearly in the landing page for the grants, which we'll go over a little bit towards the end of this presentation. And they're also offering KP health insurance through OEB. School districts can apply on behalf of up to 4 schools. So they would be submitting the application on their behalf, and we would be looking for very similar interventions to create these wellness spaces in the 4 schools, both for economies of scale and to be able to show how having this wonderful wellness space is improving the health and well-being of the staff members that use it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do encourage past applicants to reapply. And this is in order to expand the reach of these grants and therefore the wellness spaces, so that they're serving as many as staff members as possible. So we really see that as a marker of sustainability. So let me see if I had any other comments about this slide. No. So I think we can move on to the next slide, and then I'll turn it back to you, Emmy.
Thanks, Liz. So here's a glimpse at the 2023 timeline and maybe some key dates to mark on your calendar. Step 1 would be attend our application support webinar, which is coming up on April 4th from 3:30 to 4:30. Like I said, because I'm sharing my screen, it gets a little tricky with putting links in the chat, but I will do that right after we close out. I'll put the registration links, the link to the landing page, the link to the video, and so you'll have all the information, but make sure to attend the webinar. If you haven't before, or even if you have, it's a lot of great information about the application process, some tips for preparing strong application, and tools and resources that you have available to help support you, because we know everyone's carrying so much extra than they maybe once were. So we want to make sure to help support you with any questions you might have, make it as easy as a process as possible. Step 2 would be to submit your application sometime in the month of April between the 3rd and the 28th. And then awardees will be informed in June, and that's when the implementation period begins. Any questions just about the overall timeline? Sherry, you asked a question, is this only for Kaiser Permanente insurance holders? So if you're a part of OEB and you offer Kaiser Permanente, then yes, you are eligible, if that answers your question. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. We'll try to keep an eye out. And Liz, I'll turn it over to you to kind of tell us about some of the information, additional.
Additional information, right? Thank
Yeah.
you, Emmy. Yes, and so as Emmy mentioned, you will be receiving some links to these information resources, and you will find in following the link to the landing page basically a one-stop shop of information on just about anything that you need to know, or that someone you share this information with needs to know about applying. And this includes the guidelines. There is a link to sign up for the application webinar. So please do sign up, as Emmy indicated, and make sure that your partners are aware that they should register for this really helpful webinar where we walk through the application process step by step, and we also answer a lot of questions. You'll find lots of other information that, including the video and some brief documents of 1 to 2 pages in length that are helpful tip sheets for the process. So of course, Emmy is available for any general questions, and then Adlucem Consulting is available to provide application support. This is something that we started last year in a more targeted way that proved to be very helpful to applicants who needed, a little bit more time, some one-on-one time over the phone, via Zoom, or by email. It's a great opportunity to run ideas by us for your application. We can let you know if what you're proposing falls within the guidelines, and also just provide the type of technical assistance that makes for a really strong application. So we do encourage you to take advantage of that by reaching out to us. So I believe, and correct me if I am wrong, Teresa and Emmy, but do we have a little bit of time for some Q&A?
I think we do.
Yeah, and one other comment I would add, Liz, I'm not sure we stated this, but schools and districts can apply for up to $5,000 or $20,000 for a district that wants to apply for on behalf of 4 schools.
Yeah, thank you, Emmy. That's a really important point that you brought up. And it also reminds me that we did, beginning in cycle 3, which was the last round, which is still currently underway, but we'll be wrapping up soon. We did open this opportunity up to individual schools. So in the past, if you were a school district, you could only apply on behalf of either 1 school or up to 4 schools. Now, to encourage individual schools to apply directly, that is also possible, but we just will ask in the application from individual school applicants that they include the name of a person in a leadership position at the school district who is basically giving their support for them to apply directly. So this has really opened up this opportunity to more workplaces yet.
Yeah, and I got a question around the slides and if those can be shared. And Teresa, I can share those with you and you can send them out in your follow-up if that works okay. And I'll put the links in the chat too.
I was just putting in the chat that the recording and the slides will get posted on OEB's webpage too. And I was going to put the page where they will be in the chat, not right away, but they will be there. So that's one way folks will find them.
You're wonderful. Thank you.
Great.
And then I think we got a question and I wasn't quite sure. So I was hoping you could clarify, Claire, matching requirement. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, to receive the funds, is there a specific amount either in kind or that we have to leverage from our district to be eligible to access these funds, or can all project expenses be paid for with the $5,000?
Yeah. Shall I respond, Emmy? Or
Yeah, go for it, Liz.
Yes, that's a great question. There is no matching requirement, Claire, and certainly most of our awardees have been able to put together really nice wellness spaces with the resources that are available. However, we do ask a question about any in-kind contributions beyond staff time, and so that is certainly a favorable thing to see in an application. Sometimes PTA will have some resources available, or perhaps a principal will, pledge a certain amount, or, some form of additional commitment to the project if possible.
Yeah, good question. Thanks for clarifying, Claire. Any other questions? And then I think we need to hand it over to Moda for their grant.
If people have further questions, to go ahead and put them in the chat. We can be responding to them. And you always know to reach out to us after the meeting too, if something comes up. But I'm going to turn it over to Veronica and Christy to talk about Moda Health Wellness Grants.
Okay, hopefully you can see my slides. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Veronica Coates-Valdivia, and I'm a health promotion and wellness consultant with Moda Health. And I also have my fellow wellness consultant, Christy Straw, assisting me today. And so we work with OEB and its entities, and so we're really excited to be sharing this funding opportunity today. So the Moda Health OEB Wellness Funds are for any OEB entity seeking to support their workplace health and wellness efforts. So these funds are awarded to applicants that focus on achieving and maintaining the health of their employees' physical activity, nutrition, mental and emotional wellness, and social wellness through a sustainable program design. An entity can apply for up to $10,000 per calendar year. And applications can be submitted anytime during the year. We don't have like a due date. However, funding is awarded on a first qualified, first served basis. And then priority is given to new applicants who have not received funding before, and then also applicants who aren't currently funded through other grant or funding programs. And so listed here are some examples of what OEB entities have used the wellness funds for in the past. So wellness spaces, so that might be creating a workout space or updating a staff break room. Nutrition workshops, so maybe that's a cooking class, or maybe like a lunch and learn, so like a lecture with lunch provided or a snack. Fitness classes or fitness equipment, so maybe weekly yoga classes or a rowing machine on site. Corporate meditation app access, so something like a year subscription to Insight Timer for all employees. Also activity challenge platforms. So for example, if you've heard of like Walker Tracker, That's pictured on the upper right-hand corner, but it's a steps and activity challenge platform and can also be accessed in an app. And so through Walker Tracker, a workplace can host either individual or team challenges for staff. Healthy snacks have also been used with the wellness funds, and then also social events. So that could be like an employee kickball tournament or a golf scramble. We've had paint nights, just for some examples of social events. And so the wellness funds typically fund multiple activities, events, or items, not just one of these listed here. So it could be many different things. And these are just some examples of what has been used in the past, but your coworkers might have other needs and interests. And so, we welcome new ideas on how to spend the wellness funds. Moving on to some guidelines. So these funds are for workplaces seeking funding for health and wellness efforts at their specific entity. And so all employees must benefit equitably from the funds. And so they all must have access to participate in whatever event, activity, or whatever the funds are being used for. An interest survey is required before submitting an application. And that really just helps assess your workplace and find out the needs and wants and interests of your employees or coworkers. And really provides your entity with valuable information to help guide not only the wellness funds, but also your wellness program. And so Christy and I can help get an employee interest survey started and customized to your location to help guide your application. And then we have a list there of what funds are not eligible for. So this includes cash, gift cards, incentives, any rewards, etc. And then all federal and state regulations need to be followed, as well as rules and regulations at your specific entity. And then an evaluation is required after utilizing all the funds. And so we just find it's really important to evaluate what was successful, what could be improved, maybe some benefits or challenges that were encountered along the way, and even thoughts for the future of your wellness program. And so we provide an evaluation form to be completed within 30 days of utilizing those funds. So here's kind of the 6 steps for the OWEB Wellness Funds, the process. So if you're interested, you can reach out to Christy and I will provide our email on the next slide. So if you're interested in applying for the Moda Health OWEB Wellness Funds, reach out to us and we can kind of schedule an appointment to get something to provide more information and answer any questions you may have about the funding. We also can help get that employee interest survey completed at your location. Third, we move on to the application, and the interest survey helps build that application, kind of pinpointing what your employees' needs and wants are. Then the application's reviewed and approved by our team. Then we move on to utilizing the funds, and then at the end we complete that evaluation that I mentioned on the last slide. And so to contact our team, you can reach us at owebwellnessprogram@modahealth.com. And we can also put these the email and links in the chat as well. And then we also have our website listed there. And there's also information about the OWEB Wellness Funds, as well as a copy of our guidelines. So you can reach out to us for the guidelines and application. You can go to our website. But yeah, if you're interested, please let us know.
Veronica, there's a question in the chat from Rachel and asking if there's a specific employee interest survey that applicants are asked to use.
Yeah, great question. We do have a interest survey that we can customize for each entity. So it's kind of like a basic 7 questions, but really, we know your entity probably has additional questions that they want to ask. So it can really be customized. But yeah, we do have a basic survey that we can adjust.
Thank you.
That's something we can go over in one of the meetings.
And it looks like Christy has put in the chat the email address that Veronica just showed on the previous email for folks to reach out if you've got questions.
Perfect. And then, yeah, Teresa, I can show you these slides, or maybe I already gave them to you, so you can.
You have, yes, but I've got a note to ask Emmy for her slides too when she has a minute, so we can get everybody's posted on OWEB's website.
Any other questions?
I'm curious if there's anyone on the call today that has applied for and received any of the funds that were described today, and what, if you have, what you've done with them, if you wouldn't mind sharing. Or maybe we've got all new folks who haven't applied for funds before, so that's exciting too. Oh, it looks like Marcel just put in the chat that we just got the grant. They're doing the walker tracker. Great. You'll have to keep us updated, Marcel, and let us know how it goes. And they're doing the walker chat tracker and healthy snacks. Okay, so like healthy snacks in the break room. Break rooms, unfortunately, are notorious for unhealthy snacks, so it's good to have options there for folks. Great. Liz, you're on mute.
So sorry about that. I'm glad you saw my hand. Just an observation. What really strikes me is how complementary the MODA wellness grants and the workplace wellness-based grants are, in that there are some similarities, of course, and but then there are also differences in that the KP workplace wellness-based grants, the funds are not allowed to be used for consumables, for example. Such as healthy snacks or for large physical activity equipment, although the KP grants do support light physical activity equipment. So it seems very complementary.
Now I'm on mute. So if folks wanted to apply for a Kaiser grant and say have a few small hand weights or stretch bands or something, would that be what would be considered small equipment?
Yes, that's right. Things like, maybe a foam roller, some yoga mats, stretch bands, light hand weights type of thing.
Great. Okay, thank you, Angela. You're off to your next meeting. Nice to see you here. Let's see, April says in the chat, please go ahead and send me the paperwork to get started on the application process. Teresa and Veronica. So you're wanting a MODA Health application then. Okay, great.
Wonderful. I have April's email, so I can send that to her.
Is there an additional grant for Kaiser, or is there just the one through MODA?
Oh, April came late. I'm sorry. Yes, there. We did do Kaiser Permanente grants. I'll be quiet and let Emmy and Liz jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, April, we shared the information about the workplace wellness-based grants right before MODA went. I'm happy to send you the slide deck and follow up with any questions you might have. If you want to just put your email in the chat. If that works. Perfect. Thank you. I will go ahead and send you the slides that we went over today. And the application period doesn't open until April, but we do have an upcoming webinar that can be really informative and helpful with sharing tips and tricks and the guidelines. So I'll include all that information for you.
Thank you. And it's nice to put faces to the names too.
Let's see, Sherry puts in the chat that she would like that to go to her as well. So sounds like Kaiser grant information to go to Sherry Wall at Reedsport. You see that in the chat. Yeah. Well, I hope you know that we are going to be wanting to hear from folks after they implement some activities, or at least grab some pictures of your new space if you've redesigned a wellness space for staff, or if you do buy some equipment or have a challenge. We would love to talk about that at a future meeting, because it's much more interesting for folks to hear from each other about what's worked and what the challenges are and what the successes are, than to have us talk about that. So you'll be good examples to share with other folks, and so that they can see, oh, this is what a school district similar to mine did. I guess I can try that too. Let's see, looks like we've got more chats. Let's see, Amy Rivers would like Kaiser information as well. And Sherry finally has a team who will help out with all the wellness activities after the last grant. Yes, it's much easier to work with a team than trying to do this all by yourself. I'm glad you've got a team helping you. Are there any other questions or anything else folks want to know or want to share? You know how to reach us if something comes up. We'll get these posted on the website. Emmy, Veronica, and Christy will send out the information to the folks who requested it. And hopefully we will see you at our next meeting, which is Monday, April 10th at 3:30. So have a great rest of the afternoon, everybody. It was good to see you. Good to hear from you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Teresa.
Meet you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.